We are truly off to an exciting year. Midtown is popping. This public life action plan is going to draw it all together. And it encompasses many things, many elements, many slides, but it's really just about people. What's going to make people feel great about their city and more connected to their fellow citizens. We've got a successful district, and I think Anna and the mayor and John and Mary Pat just underscored that. So this is about, as we see it, that last little bit of effort. We've got impressive buildings, but the ground floor experience needs some attention. We've got public spaces, but they don't all have that last bit of reason to be there. We've got 1.6 million square feet of retail, and there's an opportunity to work better together and to coordinate our efforts. So everything we're talking about this morning is something, and you've been here before, many of you have, this is what we've been talking about for years. And the question is, how do we make it happen faster and broader? How do we supercharge public life? And the answer is you. Our staff, Midtown Alliance, Midtown Improvement District, are not going to get us there. We're scrappy, we work hard, but there's a lot we can't control or really even substantially influence. We don't have regulatory powers, we don't own property, we don't have the resources alone to do things at the scale that a district that welcomes 75,000 people today is going to need in order to make this happen. And we also know that just putting this on a website in the form of a report or wishing it would happen is not going to make it happen. It's going to take a concerted effort of all of us to make it happen, and the only way that's going to happen is if you see a path to getting involved. If you see a path that makes sense to you to invest some time and effort and resources, whether you're a property owner or a business owner or a large employer or somebody that works here or lives here or goes to school here. The mayor calls this our year of full participation, and we echo that sentiment. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to quickly go through some things that we're working on in 2023 and give you a status of things that you probably should know about. I'm going to pick up on some of the threads that Anna and John challenged us on, and I think one thing that we really try and do with each of these annual meetings is to genuinely challenge ourselves. And along the way, we're going to talk about opportunities for you to be meaningfully involved and how we as the Midtown Alliance are prepared to help. So we'll start with just giving places back to people. This is what we call commercial row commons before we started work on it. Repurposed on-street parking, realigned the street, added trees, lighting, and art. Now we've got a community space. This picture was taken day before yesterday. A random mandolin player just showed up and started taking advantage of this rare, mild February day. Movie night. Community gathering space. This time last year, this was a narrow sidewalk, and look at it now. 10th Street Park. This is a view, this picture I took outside my office window. This is what I look at every day, which is why I can't get any work done. Frolicking, dogs that have been locked up in their apartment all day are all of a sudden set free. The dog quotient at 4:50 compared to 5:10 p.m. is very different. You want to see happy dogs, this place is the ultimate. It's been a real pleasant surprise for us. And it looks really a lot like the rendering. I love it when this happens. We lease this property for $1 a year. It's not permanent space for us. Thanks to the Dewberry Group, we lease it. Next up, as the weather gets milder, we'll activate the portion in the foreground there nearest to 10th Street with games. Spring Street parklets. These were parking spots that were orphaned when the quick-built bike lane came in. Places for people where parked cars used to be. We got 2 more parklets on Peachtree Place and at 10th Street near the Rainbow Crosswalks. It'll be in the next month or so. We got all the furniture in our conference room. We're just waiting on those last supply chain deliveries to make it happen. Arts District Plaza, this ended up pretty magical this year with just a refresh with the orange tables and chairs and stage set up. And this is a shot from our Jazz on the Plaz concert series. Altogether, these spaces are welcome for all to enjoy and to use. They're not high cost, and they should serve our district for many years to come. So we're talking about this 1.2 square mile of Midtown. That's about 770 acres if you do the math. Fact, within those 770 acres, we have exactly 1.2 acres of permanently protected open space, 1.2. For a district that currently welcomes today 75,000 people. We need more, we need them big and small. We just previewed 4 spaces we've created over the last 9 months. Imagine if we created 4 more this year and 4 more next year and 4 more the year after, how the compounding effect of that would be transformative. A recent excellent example is what Cousins Properties has done with the Promenade Central. This is where the mayor will be later today welcoming Visa's move in. This building was delivered 42 years ago. And now it's been reimagined to fully engage the street. It's a great example of a high-quality public space where the public is invited. Art Walk. This is Peachtree Walk between 10th and 11th, currently under construction, very much in progress. Thanks to our partnership with Federal Reserve Bank and other property owners. This is what it'll look like around June of this year. We got a lot of work to do. Look at those big light spheres. Here's what they look like being fabricated over on the west side right now. So it's real and it's happening. Other projects in the works. 11th Street at Peachtree. Super wide street, low traffic volumes, fast cars. This is what happens when you pair wide streets with automobiles. They go really fast. With the parking inserts, we got about 65 feet to work with. So how could this space be used more efficiently in a way that doesn't break the bank? Here are our renderings. If all goes well, this will be under construction later this year. Basically taken, again, places for parked cars, repurposing some parking spaces, and turning them into places for people. Property owners are jazzed about this. If we get city approvals and our improvement district gives us the thumbs up, you should see this happening this year. Human-friendly streets, as Anna talked about. You've got this slide in your program materials. I just enlarged it here. This is our community survey, and this is where people want us to put our priorities. This is remarkably consistent, whether you're a property owner or an employer or somebody that works here or lives here. The percentages really don't change. And they're remarkably consistent, as you can see, over time. They really haven't changed over the 10 years we've been doing this survey. Bikes and scooters rank high, despite the fact our roads really aren't built to accommodate them being used safely, and maybe that's really why they rank high. So getting cars through Midtown as quickly as possible is not success, certainly not success that we hear from our property owners and our stakeholders in our community survey. In 1 square mile of Midtown, there's about 4 million square feet of lane miles, 99% of which are dedicated to vehicle circulation. If we're going to rebalance that equation, we're going to have to repurpose some lanes. Right now, with our current projects, we got about 8% of lanes that we're set to repurpose. That means dedicated bike lanes, but that also means signals and other crossings, and other interventions. So what's the status? We'll briefly preview the status of some of the projects. As many of you know, there are some projects that have been delayed for some time. We've worked with our partners at the city, passed legislation with the help of our council members and our mayor to help get through some of those processes better, to bypass some city processes, to give us more autonomy in terms of the procurement and the delivery of projects. We broke free and started getting projects out to bid late last year, just in time, frankly, to experience record high construction costs. And that's going to be a reality that we're all dealing with. Met last week with our improvement district, and with their approval, we're moving forward. So happy to say that as of Monday, 2 days ago, we issued a notice of authorization to proceed to construction on Juniper Street. I told myself I would not use a rendering of Juniper Street unless we were under construction or about to be, and that we qualified. So happy to get that one out of the gates. We're also got a lot of intersection upgrades that are going to follow closely after that to fix things like this. It's funny, but it's not funny. I think we can all agree that you shouldn't have to be an Olympic sprinter to get across Peachtree Street at 13th Street. While it would have been a lot cheaper just to get some track and field starting blocks and put them on both sides of the street, we're opted for a full signalization of that street. That's going to happen along with 7 other intersections with full signals, 2 other intersections with pedestrian activated signals. Altogether, 15 signals are going to get 15 intersections are going to get upgrades, ADA ramps, striping, and other enhancements. Added bonus of these signals is that they can also help to regulate vehicle speeds depending on how you time them. So here's to more human-friendly streets to come, hopefully in the near future. Next up, after the intersections, we will put 15th Street out for bid. This is a new street between West Peachtree and William Street. It's on GDOT right-of-way that they donated to us. It involves a lot of blasting, a lot of rock removal. It's going to be an expensive project. We're working hard with our partners to get over the finish line in terms of funding, and we think we're going to get there. So you should hear this project out to bid within the next 2 months. Meanwhile, our planning efforts continue because we never are not planning at the Midtown Alliance. We've got projects underway in 3 places in Midtown. This is 17th Street, so you all know and love. This bridge is only 1,000 feet long, but it feels way longer when you're trying to cross it, particularly as a pedestrian. I think we've got 135 feet of lane width that we can work with here, so there's loads of opportunity, but there's a real opportunity to connect the core of Midtown with Atlantic Station, and it involves more than just Miracle Grow. Central Midtown, we've got a really well-utilized cycle track that ends abruptly at Myrtle Street. We're going to fix that where cyclists are not pushed into mixed traffic abruptly. We've got another project on 15th Street that's going to connect to the 15th Street extension I just showed you an image of all the way to Piedmont Park. Those are planning efforts that are underway right now. Bus stop got you down. I mean, who says a bus stop can't be functional and cool? All you have to do is match up the bus riding public with an artist, in this case, George F. Baker III, GFB3. There is no more positive human being that has ever walked the earth than GFB3. I'll give money to somebody that has a picture of him that's not smiling ear to ear like this, and this is what you're going to see in the next couple of months as a pilot. Thanks to the Atlanta Regional Commission for this planning grant, and thanks also to including a component where they wanted to see a pilot of what we're talking about. So with the design help of HJSK, this is what you're going to see as a pilot bus stop. And it is cool and it is functional, and it's hard to be sad if that's where you're waiting on your next bus. So what else doesn't cost millions of dollars and take years to achieve? Programming and activation, as Anna talked about. This is the closest thing we've got to instant gratification. And it is most definitely a team sport. If we're going to rely primarily on Midtown Alliance to execute, we're going to barely scratch the surface. So it's a team sport and it's fun. Scientific fact. Helping to make other people happy makes us happier than trying to make ourselves happy. So it's time to embrace improvisation, and it's also, we're going to take a play out of the venture capital playbook, using our skills, our resources, our seed money to spur some game-changing action. So instead of venture capital, we're going to call it adventure capital. It's a pilot project really intended to boost some early wins here. It's going to involve community activations, community events. It's going to involve new and enhanced public spaces, and it's going to involve some of the ground floor enhancements that we've talked about. So, community events. You got a killer idea for a community event? We want to hear from you. You got people that you'd like to team up with to put something together? You're talking our language. Need a place to have it? We control some public spaces now in Midtown, and we know people that have space. Need help getting the word out? We'll introduce you to our social media platforms and our Midtown calendar. We alone, our team, plans on executing 50 events this year in 2023 alone. But again, 75,000 people, we're just scratching the surface. You need seed money to help a project actually happen? Let's talk. So this is a page of our website that's live as of this morning. We're ready to hear from you. Send us your pitch. We'll engage, tap into our resources and our expertise, and we're going to complete the build out of this program in the next couple of weeks. As I mentioned, it also includes, new and enhanced public spaces. POPs, you heard that acronym, privately owned public space, POPs. They don't have to be expensive, they don't have to be big. They could be as simple as chair bombing a piece of turf. I think total costs here are about $100, both chairs, tables, coffee not included. Property owners, check out our delicious menu of activation options and thought starters. We've amassed a pretty big library of things that you could do on your property, and we're pleased to connect you with the resources and the people that can actually make that happen. And we're pleased to even seed the right kind of projects. So if you've got some great ideas, we want to hear them. If you need some great ideas, we're here to help. If you just want to experiment with some tables and chairs, we have them and we deliver. So we'd love to hear from you. Urban retail. Not easy, but important and profoundly important for an urban district like ours. Can you think of an urban district that you believe to be successful that doesn't have a healthy and dynamic retail scene? So Midtown strengths, as has been mentioned by Anna, we got people. Today, 75,000 people in Midtown. Unlike many central business districts, we are not a monoculture of just office. This is how the uses of the buildings in Midtown break out by square feet. The residential population has grown profoundly, and you heard the stats. The condos, the apartments, the student housing. 7,235 new residential units either delivered in the last 24 months or currently under construction in 1.2 square miles of Midtown. 7,235 residential units. And this residential population has really helped our retail storefronts, particularly our food and beverage purveyors over these last 3 years with less office workers present. Challenges and opportunities. Midtown has 1.6 million square feet of retail. As I said, that's about 360 separate retail spaces. But these spaces are not continuous. We don't have an old high street that has retail that's existed for 150 years like a Michigan Avenue, nor are we like an Avalon that is a new build of contiguous retail. So if you think about how retail happened in Midtown, you got to think about how Midtown happened in Midtown. Zach put this slide together. Each of those little blips of green is a new building delivered in a year, over about 20 years. So it's kind of easy to see how 123 different decisions by building owners in terms of what they wanted to put on their ground floor happened, and it's created the retail ecosystem that we have now. It also means we've got a lot of different retail owners. By our count, we have about 60 separate owners of retail. So again, unlike a Ponce City Market where you got one owner, or a Chattahoochee Works where you got one owner that can really curate retail in a concentrated area and decide what they want where, you've got 60 different retail owners. And 360 retail establishments, 360 retail leases stapled together does not make a retail strategic plan. So there's opportunities to coordinate. Also, given the fact and the way Midtown delivered, a lot of what happened at the base of the building and what happens today at the base of the building can be a bit of an afterthought, and it's easy to see how that can happen. If you've got an owner with a little bit of retail space, and 99% of the revenue is coming from the office uses above or the residential uses above, it's easy to see how retail's not so top of mind. But as Anna said, that experience that you create at the ground floor really does ricochet and translate up in terms of tenant attraction. And I think we see owners of buildings and retail owners in Midtown that absolutely get that. All this is to say that retail in any place is an ecosystem. Retail relies on other retail to be successful. So if you're a retail owner in this building, you rely on what retail is happening in the next building and the next building over to help lift all the boats and create a real retail destination and to grow the customer base. So our steering committee, we've got a great retail steering committee. They all want to stay at the table and work as we do implementation. They've suggested a couple things. First and foremost, coordination and cooperation. Get retail owners together that are in kind of these areas of influence around retail and coordinate efforts. Talk about what retail is there now, how is it performing. Midtown is always changing. Let's take a fresh look at the customer base, the kind of retail uses that they want. We got a lot of people here with a lot of spending power. Figured out what retail uses may be missing, what adjacent areas of heat could actually draw retail into this area. Think about interim activation strategies, all the above, and put a strategy together with those nodes, with a market study that really talks about what does this node need, and do that throughout Midtown. And then also coordinate with new development. As they're thinking about their next little green building in this image, think about what that retail use needs to be at the ground floor to really fold in and strengthen the retail uses that are all around it. There's a real opportunity here. And also just supporting the retail broker community. If you've got 360 different retail spaces, a lot of different brokers involved, how do we get them information that they can use to successfully attract the kind of tenants that we're all looking for? And that may be, in our role, just current up-to-date ped counts by street in terms of what's going on with the pedestrians, street activations that they may not be aware of, other things that we can help curate and just hand them as they're going forth and doing good in terms of retail recruitment. And lastly, we've seen a lot of retrofits. Just storefront, ground floor design is a real opportunity. They're not all as stark as this particular example, but this doesn't really communicate that there's something cool happening here where, you know, we ought to want to check it out. So we're here with expertise in terms of design. We're going to be looking at how do you take these tinted glass curtain walls that kind of hit the ground hard and retrofit them. We're going to be putting some contracted design services towards this. We're going to do some takeoffs in terms of costing, and we're going to be working with willing property owners in terms of how to change these. And they could be as simple as awnings and blade signage and softened edges, or as complicated as we want them to be. The good news is that all of the strategies that we're talking about this morning are going to get us to where we want to be in terms of the kind of vibrant, happy people on foot atmosphere that Midtown property owners and retail owners want to see. By the way, his shirt says, "Bad habits, but good intentions." Story of my life here. Finishing up, I know you've seen a lot, heard a lot. Really appreciate the mayor's comments and what he ended on today. If you don't currently get a copy of our every other month public safety survey, please go on our website and sign up for those. They'll come to your inbox every other month. Our team does a great job of putting the facts together, and the headline, as the mayor mentioned this morning, year over year overall crime down 28% in 2022 versus 2021. That does not happen by accident. Thank you, the men and women of the Atlanta Police Department. Thank you for the strong partnership with our Midtown Blue program. I will tell you, the public safety leadership and the public safety partnership in this city have never been stronger than they are today, and we are absolutely proud to be a part of it. In conclusion, it's about people. Meet Tao Hua. If you don't already know Tao. Tao has worked for the Midtown Alliance for the last 14 years as a member of our green team. He's an amazing individual. His life story reads more like a movie script. Fled Saigon, Vietnam, the night it fell to the communists, boarded an old patrol boat, then went to a World War I era cruiser, started throwing stuff overboard to stay afloat, ultimately ended up on an island off the Philippines, ultimately ended up in the United States, knowing no English and knowing no one. He has since grown and raised a beautiful family, beautiful grandkids. He is retiring day after tomorrow after 14 years of service, and we're going to miss him. Tao, thank you for your service. Thank you for keeping Midtown looking great. Thank you for your Tai Chi tutorials, staff meetings, every morning, Tao's Tai Chi, shared it with us. Congratulations on your retirement. We have such an outstanding group of professionals at the Midtown Alliance. They work hard, they care a lot, and they're extremely good at what they do, and it is such a pleasure to go to work every day with a team of this caliber that's making stuff like this happen. Thank you, Midtown Alliance team. Thank you for sharing your morning with us, this beautiful, 71-degree February day in our city. Thanks to our sponsors for making this program happen. Norfolk Southern is our presenting sponsor, our gold and silver and bronze sponsors. Thanks to our volunteers for showing up bright and early this morning and making it all work. And we are adjourned. Onward. Thank you.